Hi everybody, thanks for joining Create with Dee. I am going to be sharing what I made with my local card class gals in the month of February, and it features cards using products from the Soiree suite. Let's get started making these cards. So our first card that we're going to make features a designer series paper suite Soiree, and I wanted to show you this image here. It's not a stamp or die, rather it's from one of the sheets of paper that you'll find in the paper pack. And I just couldn't, cut this up other than to showcase these beautiful cakes that are here. So the images on this paper of the cakes that the flowers are not sitting on top real high, you can cut those down to a 2x2 square, and the other ones where they raise up a little bit, it's about a 2 and 2.5. So you can get lots of embellishments by just trimming out squares or rectangles out of this sheet of paper. So the card base is thick Whisper White cardstock and a layering piece of Old Olive cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I'm using multi-purpose glue with just a light little pressure on it. And we'll get that first layering piece put in there. Next, what we're going to do is for the layout of this card, I got the layout from Dawn Griffith. Thank you, Dawn, for the inspiration of the layout. And what I did is trim down a piece of that designer series paper that's in that paper pack to 4 by 5 1/4, and then cut it at 1 1/2 and 1 3/4. If you visit my blog, I do have a diagram on how to cut that. And then, because both sides of this paper is gorgeous, we just flip it over and we have our layout. Pretty, pretty, pretty. So then we'll just go ahead and assemble these right onto the card base. Next, what I did is I took a 2x2 section of that designer series paper sheet that had all of the cakes in it and cut a 2x2 section using the cakes that the flowers are lower. And I also cut out a piece of Old Olive out of the layering squares framelets. And we'll just put these two together. You can probably imagine all of the wedding cards, the baby shower, congratulation cards that you could make out of this designer series paper pack just by kind of making your own embellishment with this little cake. And then what I did is we're going to pop that up with some Stampin' Dimensionals. I think 2 will be good. You could probably do 3 if you wanted to. And then we're going to put our little cake right on the intersection of those. So pretty, so pretty. Next, I've already die cut a banner out of the Bunch of Banners framelit set. And with rich raspberry ink and the congratulations sentiment that's from Beautiful Bouquet. Even if you don't get this bundle, guys, this stamp set is gorgeous just on its own, and there's so many really wonderful sentiments with fonts that I really like on that one. So that one's a keeper for me. And so I'm using the congratulations. And let's go ahead and ink and stamp that one. And don't be afraid to die cut your images first and then stamp. Sometimes it's just as easy to do it that way. Then I'm going to grab a couple more dimensionals. And we'll get this card finished off here pretty quickly. There we go. Get some basic rhinestones. Whoops. Grab that right off and it stuck to my nails. And there we go. We have a beautiful card ready to go. Now, sometimes on these, I just prefer to leave the inside blank because that way I can use the congratulations if I need a quick wedding card or wedding shower card or birthday card, something like that. Then I can stamp a more specific to the occasion stamp set. But this is a great card to have ready to go. All right, well, thanks for watching card 1 of the 3-part series here. And hopefully you can join me at the next card for the February card class. For our next card, we're going to need a standard card base out of thick Whisper White cardstock, cut at 5.5 by 8.5. All of the cards have that same card base to it. A piece of So Saffron cardstock, cut at 4 by 5.25. Some of our designer series paper in the series of Sweet Soiree, cut at 2 by 5.25. And then using the Starburst punch, a piece of Old Olive in the Starburst image, and then a 2-inch circle using the 2-inch circle punch. And some ribbon, and I used the, let's see here for sure, the name of it, the Powder Pink, and this is the 1/2-inch finely woven ribbon in which I tied a bow and have it ready to go. So the first step that we want to do to add to our card base is we do want to emboss the So Saffron layer. I'm using the Dynamic Textured Embossing folder, Layering Leaves, and when you use these folders, the Dynamics, it really does make a 3D embossed element, and you do need to take your Stampin' Spritz, fill it with water, and do a light mist on the cardstock. And what that will do is really define that embossing. And for these dynamic ones, what you want to do is put it right directly onto the Big Shot platform. We don't want any sandwiches on our acrylic plates. It's just the platform, the folder, and then the top acrylic plate. Because those folders are extra thick. And you'll know instantly if you put the bottom plate on, it won't go through. And look how gorgeous that is. It really pops out that embossed image. Now that we have our So Saffron piece texturized, it's time to put the card base together. What we're going to do first is make a little banner tail. What I like to do is snip it up in the center and then come in on both sides to create the banner tail. And we're going to layer that right there. Again, we want to use liquid glue. I would definitely use liquid glue or even tear tape for this, simply because with the texture, we don't want a tape runner adhesive to possibly pull up on it, and then we start to lose our layers. We don't want anybody to get their card and then the layers start to fall off. And then before we put this onto our card base, what we want to do is add our ribbon. And we'll put it about right there. And so we can grab some tear and tape. And I'm going to put it right where I want the ribbon to kind of fall in between. And get that started. Using your paper piercer is great to get the tear and tape started. If you have trouble. I guess my nails are actually going to work better this time. That's unusual. That hardly ever happens. Okay, so there's the ribbon where I want it. And I'll grab the back side. And don't worry if your ribbon doesn't go all the way through, because this, or you have some exposed tear and tape, that's going to be okay. Now you could go ahead and put tear and tape down on that as well if you wanted to. I'm just going to use multi-purpose glue. That'll work just fine. Again, a light touch on it. but a lot of little squiggles and wiggles. And here on the video, I didn't pull the ribbon as tight as what I like. And so if you find that your ribbon's just a little looser than what you want on the front, I just am going to grab some glue dots and put some glue dots on either side of where the knot's at, just to anchor that down a little better. Much better. For our stamped images, I am going to go ahead and use 2 stamp sets, the Cake Soiree, and then also I'm going to pull back in the beautiful bouquet and do Happy Wedding Day. With basic gray ink, I'm going to stamp up or ink up the Happy Wedding Day, about right in the middle of the punch, the Whisper White punch. And then from that point, I'm just going to go ahead and bring in some of the coordinating colors from the Cake Soiree stamp set and the Designer Series paper. So with the base flower, I'm going to use the powder pink. Of course, that's the same color as the ribbon. And the reason why we absolutely love, love, love Stampin' Up! Our color coordination. At least that's one of the things that attracted me to Stampin' Up! Products. My goodness, you know, you go to stamp something with a bunch of other brands and nothing matches, and it's frustrating, especially if you get inspiration late at night and can't run to the store and get something. So now I'm taking Rich Razzleberry and just stamping that little swirly image on the top. Again, all of these colors tie back to the Designer Series paper. Old Olive, we'll stamp our leaf image. Get some of that. So fun to have your stamps that match the paper and the inks that match the paper. Makes for such happy stamping. And then Marina Mist to bring in this little swirly berry looking thing. And I'm trying to stamp the color 3 times. You know how they say to do those type of things, decorating in odd numbers. I think stamping kind of goes along the same way. Look what a pretty little embellishment that makes. And you can probably imagine doing a whole card base or even a larger element with that. So now I'm going to take my layering image here, my stamped image, and put it on my punch. Cute. Bring back in the card base. And with some Stampin' Dimensionals, we'll get that added on. Happy Wedding Day indeed. Such a pretty card. All right, one more card to go in our card class. And our third and final card is made with the Cake Soiree stamp set. We're going to heat emboss this image with silver embossing powder on powder pink cardstock and die cut that out. And then the Celebrate is from the Celebration free item, a level 2 free item. And also the little bow cake topper is from the Sweet Soiree bundle and the die set that goes along with the cake. Also, other elements that we're going to need are a stitched Whisper White circle from the Stitch Shapes, Old Olive cardstock, and again this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. Some of our Cake Soiree Designer Series paper, and this is cut at 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. All right, let's go heat emboss and die cut out this cake. With our embossing buddy, we'll wipe that over the cardstock so that we can get some of the static off of the card. And with First Mark ink, ink up the cake image. And we'll stamp that on our scrap powder paint cardstock. And then we'll take this silver embossing powder. I just open up my container and put it in a cheapy Tupperware container. And we'll get that heat embossed using my stamp and heat tools. So with the coordinating die, I did run it through the Big Shot to die cut at the image. And if you ever need to, you can use some washi tape to anchor it and line it up in place so it doesn't shift on you when you go to die cut. So this card does feature a few things from the 2018 celebration. One, it's the Thinlit die that is available as a level 2. And then also the Shimmer Ribbon Combo Pack using the Calypso Coral Shimmer one out of that pack. All right, so to put this together, what I like to do is put the top section on first. That way I know exactly where my Celebrate needs to go. And again, this is cut at 4 by 4.5. And it's going to mat onto our Old Olive layering piece. So we'll get that all nice and lined up. Next, what we'll do is we will take our tear and tape, and this is what we're going to use to anchor down the ribbon. And I like to put it just on that intersection. And I use my paper snips to even those out. Oops, cut the cardstock a little bit there. Don't do that. Such a silly girl sometimes. I'll take off the tear and tape and then position our ribbon. So it's about a 4-inch strip of ribbon, but I like to go ahead and just go maybe 4.5 or 4.25 if you're going to pre-cut the strips, just so that you can have enough to go along the edges and once again trim them. Oops, that one's being a little tricky. Okay, there we go. Now we can add that to the card base. So you could use snail adhesive or you can use multi-purpose glue, whatever you like, to adhere card base or the layering piece to our card base. Alrighty, and we can go ahead and add the cake element here to our stitch circles. Just find the shape of stitch circles that will be a little bit larger than our die cut cake. And we'll pop that down. And now let me share with you my trick about putting on these other elements. I've quartered Stampin' Sponges and just added a binder clip to the top of it. And I keep it in an airtight container. And these are my Pouncer sponges that I use in order to put some of these thin dies or these die cuts that are a little bit thin and maybe it's a little difficult to get the fine tip glue pen on it. So how we do this is you get a silicone mat, and I'm just going to kind of pounce the multi-purpose glue on here, and then in a up and down motion, pounce on top of the back side of our die cut. And then that adds a little bit of adhesive without it being too crazy and coming through on our on our element that we want. So now I've got the Celebrate there, and now I want to do the same thing with the little bow. You can also use the adhesive strips when you die cut. Sometimes, I die cut and I'm like, oh shoot, I should have ran it through with the adhesive sheet backing on it. And so this is just a way of doing that. If you forget to use the adhesive sheet, or you prefer not to use the adhesive sheets. Okay, so now I'm going to get 3 dimensionals because this is a pretty good size embellishment here. And we'll get the dimensionals on here. And that's going to go right in the center of our card. So a great way of using up some of the celebration items that you may have been getting. Now in the sample card here, you'll notice that it says, may your day be as wonderful as you are. And that's a sentiment that's found in the Cake Soiree stamp set. When this came, it has, may your day be as wonderful as you are, happy birthday. But what I wanted to do is separate out those 2 elements. So with my craft scissors, I just went ahead and cut out the top part of it because I thought, may your day be as wonderful as you are, that celebrate, this might be able to be used then as a shower card, like a wedding shower card, or some other occasions. And of course then, too, I can separate out the happy birthday and use that independently. So that's what I've done here. And so with Calypso Coral ink, I'm going to stamp that sentiment on the inside of the card. We'll see how straight I can do it with the cameras rolling, right? That's always the tricky part. Okay. Awesome. So again, that's just another tip. So a couple of tips on this card. One is that you can use the sponge and some liquid multi-purpose liquid glue in order to pounce down or pounce on the back a little adhesive for your intricate die cuts, and then as well as taking your scissors, and you can dissect these stamps so that you can use them more and more, and it really adds value to your stamp set. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed watching me make my card class that I did for the month of February. And also, if you have this suite of products, that perhaps this is some inspiration that you can go and make some multiple happy birthday and wedding cards. Thanks for watching, everybody, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.